All right, welcome everybody. Monday of the 6th week, GE101. I have a little medical family emergency, not an emergency yet, but 85-year-old father that has some chest pains. So I'm going to go transport and get it all checked out rather than sit here and stress out about it. So sent you all an email canceling class. Hope you got it. But I do want to cover a couple things that we were going to do in lab, and then also have you do 2 assignments, and then also a piece on your project. So I'm going to get a new screen share going. The 2 things you're going to do for me is in Word and Excel. So if you don't have Excel and you don't have Word, on your computer, laptop, whatever you use, you can come into the main computer lab and do it on campus. So just like you were coming to class today, you could still come. You can use, I think you can use Google Docs and also Google Spreadsheets. You may have to work through their equation writer. I'm going to show you Word's equation writer and how to use it. And then also in Excel, we're going to write some equations and also display the equations. So the thing that we want to learn here is not only how to display equations in Word, but also how to run them in Excel. So in Word, you can only display them a lot like you would display on a piece of paper with your pencil, right? So we want to be able to do that in Word. So I'm going to demonstrate the equation writer and how I use it, which is a little different than probably how it was designed in Word. So obviously we all know how to run Word, and we can type and we can put in text, no problem. But to get an equation to show up and look like an equation, that's more difficult to do. If you just put it in line with the text, then you have to manage it that way. So I'm going to show it to you that way first. So insert equation is what we're going to do. And then it gives you some sample equations. So if you see an equation here that looks similar to the one that you need, you can choose it and then it'll plop it in there, right? And then you can go in and you can manipulate it. So maybe you didn't want, you wanted that to be to the, not the 23rd, or the 3rd. You arrow around with the arrow keys to make changes as you need, right? And then when you're done, you just kind of click out somewhere and you have an equation show up. Does a really good job at that. What I don't like about it is it's kind of locked into the text. So if I start typing again, if I come back in here and hit enter, it acts like text. And sometimes that's problematic. Sometimes that's fine. But I prefer to have my text inside of a text box, and then you can change the wrapping. So this, I was not able to figure out how to change the wrapping. So I guess if you can figure that out, let me know, because that would be the easiest fix. So what I do is I actually insert a text box. Again, you just choose one. I'll choose this one. It puts in some, random text in there, and then I just hit delete and go back through the same process that we just did, where I can insert an equation, right? So I hit the wrong one. I'll go back and choose the same one. It'll plop it in. I can size the text box, but look what it gives me right away. I can wrap it and I can put it behind or in line with the text. That's my preference, because then I can move it around anywhere I want to on the document. I can just slide it over here, whatever, and it doesn't affect my typing. You can get rid of the border, right? I don't like the border. I just want this to look like text. So, that's in your drawing tools up here, and a shape outline, you can go to no outline. So, the equations can get super complicated, and you can create them really nicely with the equation writer. So, your assignment with Word and Excel is the same. You're going to create a Word document that solves the area of 3 shapes. So you can put shapes in Word, and I do want drawings. So you're going to put a rectangle in for me. you're going to also put a triangle in for me. So that can be a right triangle if you want. It's probably the easier one to work with. And then you're also going to do a circle for me. And then with those shapes, you're going to create an equation that is the, here, I'll insert a text box so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to give me the area, and you're going to give me the perimeter. Whoops, equals. Right? And remember that in Word, it's not going to calculate it for you. You have to calculate it yourself. But I want to see the equation you're using. So for the area, a rectangle we know is the length times the height. So what you want to do is you want to get that information on the piece of paper so whoever is looking at your work understands what you're doing. That's the thing. I want to be able to hand it to my non-engineering wife and she can understand what you're calculating. That's the goal, right? So this might look something for the rectangle. I use a lot of text boxes in Word. So maybe it's 5 feet. And then once you get a text box going and you kind of get it set up with, you know, no outline, however you want it to look. I missed that. Outline, no outline. What is happening? I'll put the wrap. Again, I use in front and behind, so it can be used, so that text can go anywhere. But for some reason, it's not taking the no outline. All right, maybe I was just going too fast. Anyway, when you get a text box working, right, you can click on the border and then go Control-C for copy, and then click anywhere, and then go Control-V, and it'll place it. And then it's just a process of putting in the numbers. So this is 5 foot by 2 foot. The area over here should look like, right, 5 foot times 2 foot. And I can just use text to create this equation and also the solution. And I'm just going to use a caret for my square feet. So that's fine. On a simpler equation, you can just use text. But as it gets more complicated down here, the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. Maybe you can just type that one in. But the area of a circle is pi r squared, and I want to see that formula before you run it, right? So I want to see length times height, however you want to describe your formula. So whoever is looking at it understands the formula, then the numbers that got put in, and then, of course, the solution. So all that should be displayed. It's just like you're doing homework on a piece of paper. You want it as clear as possible. Like the text for the rectangle could be, find the area and so there's the problem statement. Right, and this would be down next to the rectangle, and then this would say find the area of the perimeter and the area of, find the area and the perimeter of the triangle, find the area and the perimeter of the circle. So you're gonna, have your name on it, have the course number and name on it, just like a piece of homework, right? So I date everything, so I believe it's Halloween, so happy Halloween. All right, so you're going to use Word to do that. And try to use the equation writer just to practice with it. That's going to help definitely with the pi r squared and the perimeter calculations down here. If you don't know a formula, look it up, right? So you're going to produce it this document you're going to produce in Word, which it will not run this equation. You have to do it. Use your calculator. Give me good numbers. But then when you go to do Excel, I'm going to do a new share just to make sure that this is working. All right, here we go. When you go to do Excel, Excel will run the equation, but it doesn't display the equation well. So you're going to do the same project where you have a rectangle, and you can draw shapes in Excel, right? But Excel will calculate it for you, but you're going to also have to display the formula somehow. So it's the same way. I'll show you. But let's do the calculations first, and I'll walk you through some basic calculation equations in Excel. The important thing is numbers always have to be separate from text. So if I'm going to put in 2 feet, then I'm going to put 2 in one cell and feet in a different cell like that. And then this maybe is 5, right? And then feet. So separate your alpha from your numeric so you can do calculations with it, right? And again, set up the piece of paper like, maybe we don't need all of this space over here. So I can highlight that and delete, and it'll start to be organized. Same kind of thing. You put your name up here, just like it was a homework assignment. You pick another cell. Notice that if I type in one cell, it will bleed over onto the other cell if there's nothing in that cell. If there was something in that cell, like the number 22, then it won't bleed over, and you actually have to drag that column out. But remember, it drags all the columns out, so it affects everything. So it's better if you're writing some text just to keep that cell to the right open, nothing in it, and then the text will just bleed over, so like GE101, right? And then my date. If you want to put a date in, it's going to see it as a date. So if I put in 10/31, it's going to see that as a date, and it'll accept it, not doing any calculating with it, right? But if I put in, let's see how it likes this, 10/31/22, I tend to do numbers like that. Oh, it took that 2. It's probably taking that as text, right? So both those formats look like they work fine. All right. So then if I wanted the area, right, I'm going to put area equals. And then here, since it is a simple equation, I can just use my alpha keys to do it, or I could insert an equation. Looks very much like Word. They're both the same products, right? Insert an equation, type the equation here. So again, if I wanted some fancy stuff, I could go up here and get it, no problem. But I can also just write, length times width. And that's displaying this equation, right? And this is like a text box. You can just drag it around like that. And then over here, I can actually make the equation. Now, the power of Excel is you can update numbers and get new numbers out of equations. So you want the equations to be not 5 times 2, but cell times cell. So let me show you how that works. Anytime you're starting an equation, you start it with the equal sign. That tells Excel that you are beginning to create an equation. Then I can literally take my mouse and click on it, and it'll put that cell location in for me. And then I can put my multiplier in, just like your calculator. It's a star button. And then I can go click this other cell. So that's F10 times A14. And if I hit enter, it's going to do that math for me, no matter what the numbers are. Like if I went and changed this to 20, it's going to do that calculation. So this is how we want the equations to actually be put in. This can be justified. Here's your justification. So I can scoot it over so it looks even better, right? So, and maybe in this, I'd want the equal sign. So that even looks better. So something like that. So keep it clean. You can justify this to the right and really make this thing start to look good, right? When I go to File, Print, this is also how you can make a PDF, right? You can go and say, oh, I'm going to just make a PDF of this thing. Notice how it looks. All the grids are gone and it looks just beautiful. Nobody would even know that this is made in Excel, right? No one would even know that these numbers actually calculate and work. This is what we want it to look like when you produce your little homework lab for me, okay? And then, of course, I do the perimeter here. So I'll do one more. When you want to edit, you just click on it. Oh, that's an equation. You click on it, and then you can edit it up here in the edit box or the formula bar, right? So here I want to actually go up here and put an equal sign. And now I'm going to right justify it. That's right here. Yep, now it's looking pretty good. So this would be like, since I have an equation here that's kind of similar, I'm just going to copy it. Control C, Control V. And I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit so it's a little bigger for you. Whoa, that was too fast, wasn't it? All right, there we go. And now I can modify this and say, oh, this is going to be like 2 L's perimeter, right? Plus 2W, oops, plus 2 W's. And that's going to create it. Now I may need to drag this out a little bit because I do want that to fit like that. And now I need to make the equation. So just like before, when you're actually going to go and make this equation, start with the equal sign. I'm going to put in 2 times. So it works just like your calculator. You'll need brackets if it gets complicated, but this isn't complicated. It understands that it's going to do multiplication before it does the addition. So there we go. 2L, that's 2 times that F10 cell, and 2 times the height is going to give me the perimeter, 14. So there we go. Right, and then I would clean this up and make it look super nice. So in Excel, we can do both. We can display the equation and we can also calculate it. Area, this would be feet squared. And if you want that to look good, right, instead of that, you could actually put a formula in there and make it look really good. Like I could take this thing and go copy, Velcro, Control C, right? And I could set it right here because it's not cell dependent, right? So then I could say, oh, I just want this to, be a nice looking unit. So I should be able to go and say, okay, in the equation writer, I should be able to use the equation tools and maybe find, a exponent. So there's an exponent right there, but that would also work, wouldn't it? So I'm going to click that, and then I'm just going to get rid of the X and put in feet squared. So you can really make these look very nice. This 10 is still a good number. It's still a good number. It's just 10, that equation, right? So the unit, I just tagged to it with writing a little equation. So, and again, if I went back to the print, the preview looks beautiful. This is what we want to look, just really sharp. All right, so you have that, and you have your Word doc. Those are going to look very similar. You're going to upload those. Those are due today. Like we were going to do it in lab today. So get it done. Also, I want all teams to update their schedule. So there'll be 3 areas for submission. Your schedule, you should be able to get completely dialed in now that you know the project. I'm going to give you a few days on the schedule because I want that to be really detailed out. So 3 things. The Word document should display the equations, not going to calculate it for you. You use your calculator for that. The Excel document will do both. You need to display the equation and also calculate it. Upload both of those. That'll be one upload, one assignment, two things. And then get your schedule updated as a team, and I'll give you till next Monday to get that schedule dialed in. So I want Gantt charts. I want as much information when you're going to build, when you're going to prototype, everything on that schedule, all the deliverables from here on out. Look at the calendar and you'll get a feel for that. All right. Sorry about missing class, everyone. I like our in-class time, so I will see you all next Monday if I don't see you before.